On Palm Sunday, we normally describe the activity of Jesus in Jerusalem as the triumphant entry of Jesus into Jerusalem. I want to show you a recent triumphant entry of Summon. So if I can invite you to the screen and if our laptop works. I was very touched by the public appearance of Pope Francis after he was being sick. I am very pleased the Vatican did not control the way he looked. I'm very pleased that Vatican did not stop him from going public. You can't go on a wheelchair. You are the Pope of Catholic Church. And plus, you need to remove that oxygen thing. People think you are weak. And then yesterday, he came into the Basilica to pray at Pope Pius X and Pope Benedict on a jumba. I never seen a pope in jumba. If you look at popes from the olden times, they are carried by poor people wearing gold and ornaments and even a pink shoe. And that is a grand entry. I'm so pleased that the church did not sort of modify the way the leader of the church looked. And indeed, it should be the way the leader of the church should be seen. As a man who is frailing, but still have the charisma to lead. A man who is fighting all the sicknesses maybe associated with having grown up with one lung. And church is bold, or he is bold leader to show that forth. The vulnerability of being aging. Showing that he can still continue to express the warmth, the love. More than power of the Pope, what he means business, he means presence. He doesn't think the power of the Pope is walking down and greeting everyone, hugging everyone, giving excellent speeches. But Pope Francis believes the power is in his presence. And whether you are old, whether they cannot even walk, or you have an oxygen thing around your nose, whether you can't speak, your presence matters. That is the entry of Jesus into Jerusalem. He is a king, but the image he chooses is not of a king. A king would get on a horse and come into the Jerusalem temple. He rather come on a donkey, especially a donkey who has never ridden. Why? Donkeys that is not used for anything is supposed to be used for sacrifice. So everything Jesus chooses as he enters into the supreme time of his life is very deliberate. He is passing on a message. In other words, I would say, faith the opposite of faith is no doubt. The opposite of faith is control. When someone doesn't have faith in themselves, when someone doesn't have faith in a God or in a spirit that guiding us, then he or she resort to control. And the image of Pope Francis is not of a power, it's not of control, it is of faith. So someone who has strong faith, instead of controlling, it will be a surrender. And as we walk with Jesus this week, all we see is surrender. And a person who does not believe, have a faith, cannot surrender, because they will do the opposite. The opposite is control. Control people. And for us, control image. If Pope Francis would not have any faith, if he doesn't believe the way Christ actually formed his heart, he would control his image. He would say, I will only come on a video. I will talk to them through a video conferencing. I will never come out. Even if I come out, you have to make sure I am standing and speaking, because my image is very important. One of the things that happens in Holy Week is Jesus is not at all bothered about his image, because he is not about control. He is about radical faith. And everything Jesus does is part of God in this week. So the sufferings he endures, the cross he carries, is all part of the mystery of God. It is also teaching us something when we face very crucial moments in our lives. As a priest, as someone who is aging, or someone who is leading a family, or someone who is leading a business, maybe someone who is battling a divorce, or someone who is really having issues in relationships. We all have something to learn from this triumphant entry of Jesus, who is doesn't care about the image. What he cares about is, how much more can I let go of my control? Where does his courage comes from? His courage comes from the mountain experience he had. What was the mountain experience? It's called the transfiguration. The Greek word is metamorphosis. I hope I am pronouncing it correct. Metamorphosis is the same word that is used for a caterpillar becoming a butterfly. Do you know what is the word that is root word for psychology is psyche? And the word psyche comes from metamorphosis. So the caterpillar become butterfly, Jesus getting transfigured, and psychology is psyche. Everything is used one word, metamorphosis, transfiguration. When you and me live according to what God has called us to be, in his image or likeness, we are transforming. Then we don't have to control the realities around us, but rather we surrender into a higher power, upon which, in front of whom we are radiant. Our soul is bright. Everything else disappears. And with that power, we walk forward even to the cross. When I went to Gandivindi, I had a big problem. I had to face someone who has been there many, many years. And it was my problem. But I was very conscious of my image. Bonnie, you are an Indian. He's been a local for many years. How can you stand up to him? He may even put you down. So I tried to control my image. How did I control my image? Every time I see him for a priest meeting in Toowoomba, I had this mantra in my head. I don't have time for you. He comes next to me, I'm like, I don't have time for you. Walk away. To me, that mantra, it was the most unchristian thing I could do. I tried to control my image by saying this one word, I don't have time for you. And then I have to surrender. In order to surrender, I have to let go of my image, being born overseas, Being an Indian, not having much experience in the countryside, I have to go into prayer. I have to have a metamorphosis. My caterpillar has to become a butterfly and be radiant as a child of God. Instead of controlling my image, I had to surrender to a higher reality who gives me the grace to face my cross. And around June last year, I faced my cross. I got crucified there, but eventually I felt resurrection. This Holy Week is all about faith. And faith is all about letting go, surrender. And the opposite of it is controlling, especially controlling our image. But it only take a slight moment of meditation of who we are in God as beloved children. If we know that deep down in our heart, we carry the cross. We go deaf to the people calling us anything they want. We walk on a donkey and carry the cross. We are not worried about image. We are concentrating on surrendering and being a faithful follower of Christ. Amen.